Give me a D and a G. It's the Dawg and Gus Show. It's the Dawg and Gus Show.
Hey, coffee lovers, Dawg here to tell you about our favorite new brew, Green Army Coffee.
That's right, Dawg. Green Army Coffee isn't just delicious, it's coffee with a mission. They're veteran-owned, and every cup supports those who serve.
You can taste the dedication in every roast. Whether you're fueling up for the day or winding down, they've got the perfect blend for you.
And it's not just great coffee, it's a way to give back. Supporting Green Army Coffee means you're supporting our troops and their families.
So what are you waiting for? Grab a bag, sip smart, and support a great cause.
Check them out at www.greenarmycoffee.ca. Green Army Coffee, brewed for those who serve. Hey, Dawg, your beard's looking flickin' great, my man.
Thanks, Gus. I've been using the Bush Beard Wash.
The what now?
At Bush Beard, they know that every man with a beard is a unique beardo. And that's why they offer a wide range of products to cater to every beard's needs. Whether you have a long and luscious mane or prefer to keep it short and sharp, their products will help you achieve that perfect look.
From the nourishing beard oil and balm to the refreshing beard wash, their products are made with all-natural local ingredients to keep that beard healthy, soft, and lustrous. The beard comb and brush are designed to detangle and shape your beard, making sure you always look your best.
At Bush Beard, they're dedicated to providing the best possible grooming experience for all the beardos out there. So why settle for an average beard when you can have a glorious, well-groomed one? Try Bush Beard products today and unleash the full potential of your beard.
Be sure to use Dawg and Gus 10 and get 10% off your order.
Bush Beard, the small-town brand with a big old Canadian heart.
Welcome to the Dawg and Gus Show.
What's up, Dawg?
Little different configuration today, Gus. What we're gonna do.
you're at your home studio.
I am. Yeah,
Nice of you to join us on
well, thank you.
this
Yeah,
snowy evening. You know, you are the
bit of-
first name on the podcast, so you should be here.
What do you got going on?
We've got Stephen Evans from Avenged Sevenfold. What's going on?
Wow. How did we
That's
land
it.
Avenged Sevenfold? Woo!
I'm just kidding.
Hey man, I heard Sinister Gates was getting a little bit tired from the touring schedule, so they wanted to hire someone else.
That's amazing. I just had to throw it out there. It's obviously Suburban Drift. I don't know why.
That's it.
I was like, I saw the shirt and I was all excited. So I was like, yeah, what's up? Thanks for joining us.
Totally. Yeah, Dawg, Gus, thanks so much for both of you for making time and inviting me out to chat. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing about the band, man.
Absolutely.
Yes. So tell us all about you.
100%. Yeah, so we're comprised of a three-piece. Our band, Suburban Drift. We have Justin Orr as our drummer. He also does backing vocals. Our bassist is Dylan Gowdy. He does some backing vocals here and there. He also is pretty good with sound effects if a song ever calls for it. And then I'll be singing and playing guitar. Myself and Dylan, we've known each other since we were kids. We grew up down the street from one another. And, you know, Dylan was the type of guy that when we were out playing street hockey, he was inside gaming. So we didn't hang out too much at the beginning, but then we found that commonality within music, and we got pretty tight then. And Justin, we would have met a couple years ago at an open mic. Our drummer at the time was moving away, so we needed someone new, and first guy we auditioned was the first guy we kept, so it's been great since, and we get along really well, the three of us.
Excellent.
Oh, that's super cool. I mean, you've obviously written a few of your own tracks and are looking to record. When you're playing live, how's been the response from the crowd? Have you enjoyed that?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool, especially the past couple that we've done had been shows downtown. Like we had one at Dominion Tavern, and then we went to Cafe de Cuff, opening for a couple of artists. And that was really our first proper introduction to some of the original scene, because a lot of the stuff we'd done before, which, you know, exciting in its own right, doing a lot of covers on bar nights, you know, there's more interested in the covers. So when we found out there were these options and opportunities to start playing originals, it really got the ball rolling, got excited. So when we did a couple of them, the reception is pretty positive, especially people at those nights want to hear original music. So they're very happy when you bring something new forward, and it's exciting and it's warming because I was a little bit nervous the first time you play something, like, oh, are they gonna like it? Are they not gonna like it? So they fit well in the sets we've been doing, and they're both usually pretty high energy. So if a song's loud and people are being loud, that's a good sign.
Absolutely.
Always. You guys putting in some covers with originals, or is it you guys just gonna start going towards all originals?
So far, we've been doing a mix. In the next little bit, we're looking to keep adding more originals each set. So I had written quite a bit of stuff, probably back lockdown times, right? What else are you gonna do? So at that point, I wasn't really jamming with the band, and the majority of what I wrote was me in an acoustic. And some of that transferred over to what we'd been doing as a band. And some of them are, slow, emotional, draggy songs, right? So they weren't quite ready for some of those exciting stage performances. So for an album, probably throw a couple of them together. But for the stage, that's the next step that we're looking at doing, is writing a bit more of those high-paced ones.
Yeah, seems like that's the when you guys opened for Civilian, right? So we've obviously had them on. They're extremely talented, but they're pretty heavy. So maybe that's kind of where you're leaning. It's nice to have ballad style too, which is great. And you're just growing as a band too. So I'm sure you'll find your own sound too. I'm sure you found it, but there's also room for growth. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And you mentioned Civilian. We were the first of a few bands opening up for them, and they hopped in last second, and we hadn't heard them live. We didn't really know what to expect, and the first note, the first second they played was bam, and we kind of sat back and said, whoa, okay, these guys are these guys are legit. So they're an excellent band, and it's great to see that Ottawa's popping out musicians like that. And I'd say we probably wouldn't go quite as heavy in that direction, but still upbeat, still exciting, kind of the alternative rock feel.
Yeah,
That's good. It led right into my next question: was how would you describe your sound?
Yeah, more alternative rock. I'd say, never really want to box it into one genre, but it skews that way for sure. And aside from the slower acoustic songs that have been written but not recorded, it's more that high-paced, high-energy alternative sound.
Nice. We like that. What or who inspires you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm fortunate to come from a musical family. My dad and grandfather have both been in several bands. My dad's out of the house more than me. The guy's in 4 or 5 bands. He's jamming every night of the week. I come home, I hear music playing in the basement. So definitely a source of inspiration, just the passion that the two of them had. And I remember, it might have been because I was so young, or maybe because I didn't hear the genre, but I'd only ever heard my grandfather sing and play acoustic, campfire type thing, family reunion. And then he plugged in his Gretsch. It was a semi-acoustic, put it into a little amp. And my grandma was like, oh, show Steven something. I was like, okay, I didn't know what to expect. And man, I don't know what this guy played that day. It was something that I had never heard, probably pretty popular in the 50s and 60s, but to my 10-year-old ears, it might as well have been Eruption, right? It was one of the coolest things. To this day, I still remember how much that blew me away. So on the micro scale, the two of them are definitely guys that I look up to. And even my sister's an amazing piano player, master's degree, Royal Conservatory, top levels, you name it. And then in the big picture, when we were young, we joke that Metallica was our first love. So we got really into them when we were in high school, and I listened to a lot of that. And I take bits and pieces from everything, right? Like the quality of songwriting that the Beatles have, but then the amazing stage presence that a guy like James Hetfield will have. So in terms of the big picture in all those bands, it's, I think, a little bit of everything, a little bit, you see something that sticks out from one or two artists and you say, wow, that's something really to emulate.
Yeah, that's cool that you had that growing up. I'm sure seeing Grandpa rock out was probably cool. It probably changed your whole outlook on life, really.
Oh,
You know?
totally, right? And
Yeah.
you're a young guy and you're like, oh, the only cool things are distorted sounds.
Yeah.
And then you hear this guy, the 50s equivalent of shredding, and it was just like, okay, wow, I got a lot to learn.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Where did you guys come up with the name?
Oh yeah, that's funny. So Dylan, our bassist, he's the strong silent type, right? But the guys like that, when they speak, it means that much more, right? So we were looking for a band name, again, nearing the end of the lockdowns with our other drummer at the time. So what the heck are we gonna call ourselves? We're starting to do these open mics and we don't have a name to go up. And he's like, oh, walking through the paint section in Mark's Work Warehouse or one of those stores, they got
Not
really
there.
cool names.
Not
No,
there.
what would be one of those painting stores? I don't know. I'm no home improvement guy, right? I'm
Yeah, fair enough. Well, Mark's
I'm
Work
too much of a-
Warehouse does not have paint, but we'll keep going.
So that's why you leave it to the bassist, right? You always need
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
smart in the band. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I just make
fair
sure to
enough.
hire smarter people around, and then they'll do the work for
That's
you,
right. That's why dogs eat. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dylan was going around a paint store, and he's like, they got really cool names. Whatever they got. He's reading them off to us, and we're laughing our heads off, like Lemon Zest, Dainty Apricot,
Ooh.
Aluminum Drift. I mean, oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. And we'd been trying to figure something out with the suburbs because we're all from Orleans. So we said, how can we do that suburb? And then it was probably Dylan who said something about, oh, it should be Suburban Drift. And then it's stuck since then.
Oh, that's good. It's a good story. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe he saw a paint can because they were painting Mark's Work Warehouse, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I know. He's always he's
I'm thinking you're thinking Home Depot, probably.
maybe
but
Home Depot. Yeah, probably. I mean, shows how much.
Home Hardware.
Yeah, how good I am, man. I'm the type of guy that when it's time to change the tires, I'm knocked out for a day after doing that. It's difficult for me.
Oh, fair enough.
So I'm not the best handyman in the world.
Me neither.
No, it's all good. That's a great way to come across it. Actually, there's some good names just looking at the paint styles. I like that.
100%. And we were laughing about something like Lemon Zest. And I was out in
That's not bad.
California. Yeah, we thought got a little creative groove to it.
I like the apricot one too.
Dainty Apricot.
Lemon Zest sounds 60s psychedelic right there.
Yeah,
it'd be pretty rad.
Ode to your grandfather playing the
Exactly.
the Gretsch.
Oh, no doubt. Oh, and the funniest thing was when I was in California one time, walked by a restaurant, and it was called Lemon Zest. And when I sent it to them, we were all freaking out, laughing our heads off. So
that's great. Well, you always have a backup in case the name has to change.
Hey, man, that's it. Maybe that first album will be thrown into Dainty Apricot by Suburban Drift.
Yes.
There you go.
Very good. Very good. Yes, that's right. What do you say is your biggest career highlight so far? Obviously, it's been short so far, but
yeah. It's we've been to Stray Dog Brewery in Orleans. There's a couple there. They get along really well. We get along really well with the owner there, and probably doing that show and selling it out, right? Still small scale, but it wasn't simply that we just did a random show and it was a good time. It was that since it was in our community and we all really love the area we're from, it had a little bit of that je ne sais quoi. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It had a little bit of that extra emotional attachment to do a show, in a spot where we all jammed together. We all met each other, and you'd go to the open mics there once in a while, and I'd say going there and seeing all of our friends and family come was pretty special.
totally.
Yeah, have you guys ever been over to Stray Dog before?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a West Ender, so I don't like
Okay.
I don't like the Orleans stuff. But
Yeah, that's a rivalry going on.
yeah, big time. I remember somebody telling me my partner Megan's from Blackburn Hamlet, and I was like, the only time I ever went to Blackburn Hamlet was to beat up on the baseball team there. So
Oh,
that was
that's
like,
it.
yeah, it was. But yeah, no, it's funny how that is in Ottawa. It's just like I was from Hunt Club Maribel area, and it was, we were West Enders, and then somebody would say they're from Orleans, and I thought that was like almost Montreal. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
that's so far east. Why would you? But it isn't that far, obviously. So
No, it seems that much farther with rush hour traffic lately, right? So you're going through, you might as well be driving to Montreal at that rate.
It's true.
And I'm a South Ender. I lived on the base out near the airport, so.
Okay, very good, very good.
But Dog works in Orleans.
I work in Orleans, so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. It's
We've
a great
been to
community.
Stray Dog's a great brewery. They've done such a nice job there. It's
Totally,
really
it's a beautiful spot, and they do a great job bringing out original artists and
agreed. Yeah.
totally different varieties. I want to see a pretty heavy metal band there one day, and then there'll be a jazz artist there the next day.
Well, we have such a depth here, so it's not hard to do.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. Like Ottawa is just so diverse in the musical scene, anyway. And
totally.
It's cool. It's very cool about
totally.
this city.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's underrated for sure, and that's why it's good to see shows like the both of you two, the shows that you guys host and other artists are starting to emerge and have more of a platform, because there's a lot going on in Ottawa. It's slowly starting to be unraveled each year, I think.
We've noticed, even since we started a couple of years ago, Ottawa's really starting to be robust with music, and it's great. We love it. It's like it's something for us to do, and also, the hosting has sort of came upon us organically, but it's been fun to do. We do have fun with it. That's for sure. Plus, we get to see free shows, bro. Free shows.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. If you could play any venue in the world, what would it be?
Oof. Well, I guess Stray Dog would be a cop-out answer because we've already been there. But I
go big.
You go big, man.
Go big, yeah. What was that Coliseum show? There's I think the Foo Fighters played a show in like a Roman Coliseum one time.
I think they played in the Coliseum.
They played in the Coliseum. Okay.
That would be.
That's the dream gig then.
You and Marcus Aurelius was there, I think.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to make sure you don't get in a time machine if you're doing a gig there, but I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Oh, maybe you would want to be in a time machine. That'd be super cool to see.
As long as you're not in the middle of that, right?
Yeah, true that. Yeah, you'd be eaten by a tiger or something.
Yeah, and I'm not a very muscular dude, so I'd probably be the first gladiator kicked out.
They don't kick you out, dude. You die.
That's you die. That's
okay.
It.
So let's keep on this time travel thing.
No doubt.
I've asked this question before. If you could go back in time to any musical event, what would it be?
Jimi Hendrix's Woodstock performance.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that was probably one of the pinnacles in music history. And from my understanding, a lot of people had left the venue because he was closing, but he played at such a strange time. And it was a bender of a weekend, to say the least. So
yes.
yeah, to put it lightly.
A couple of people came home pregnant. Yeah,
there may have been some drugs consumed.
Yeah,
with the Star Spangled Banner and
setting his guitar on fire too, right? Same thing.
No, he didn't do that there.
Oh, did he do that at Altamont?
That's right, exactly.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but he did the Star Spangled Banner, and then he rolled it into Purple Haze, and then rolled that into Hey Joe, and like if you could watch, you should watch it like on YouTube. It's wild what he goes through there. It's amazing. Great choice. That's a good choice for sure.
Yeah, it was an incredible performance, and I think that performance probably inspired so many artists down the line, like John Frusciante from from Red Hot Chili Peppers was saying that was Hendrix is his favorite guitarist ever, and he cited that performance as well as something that he's really loved his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, no, there's a lot of people that come from Hendrix that as their childhood idol, even though he died in like 1970 or something like that. So
70, 71.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Wild.
I think
He was 27.
Yeah,
Right.
he's in that club.
He is.
The club that kind of sucks. They're all amazing. They're still, but it's funny how that number is so synonymous with people dying of great artistry.
Right.
Speaking of like, so you're basically a high end Pan Am athlete. You know, you're a track and field star basically. So tell us about how you put that discipline to train for your racing and your 800-meter racing, and also put it towards what you're trying to do now musically. Can you put the two together? Does your discipline help you in both?
Totally. Yeah. So trying to be the best athlete I can be is certainly something I strive towards every day, and I think that's something I can translate towards music. And a lot of it too is in the sense where, you know, you'll still have the big days and you'll have the lighter days, right? So especially from a vocal perspective, because your voice can get tired out. It's a muscle, right? So it can really get fatigued the same way a body can. So I know to reduce the risk of injury, especially as I'm trying to learn to scream a little more, to shout a little more, that, okay, once you have a day practicing that, maybe don't do that the next day, right? You want to really make sure that once you give it 100% one day, you recover well the next day. And I think the other thing too is what's a unique aspect about the two of them is they're both performances. You know, there's both that sense of the show must go on. So I think the two have helped with one another. If racing and you end up in a bad position, well, your competitors aren't going to say, "Oh, it's all right, I'll let you pass me." Right? The same way if you're playing live and you drop your pick, or a string breaks, or something happens with the audio, the audience is not going to say, "Oh, that's okay, better luck next time." You're in the moment, now or never type of thing. And I also believe that's what creates a lot of the best art or athletics is being in that moment.
Makes sense.
You do. We have.
Mhm.
I confused you with another band.
Oh.
So did I at the beginning.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I confused with another local band.
Mhm.
We have a mutual acquaintance,
Yes,
Joe.
that's
Joe
right.
P. I can't say his last name. I don't know how.
Mm.
But Joe used to work at the school I worked at. He's a
Oh,
runner.
very cool. Yep.
Yeah.
He is.
And he was like, because he knows about the podcast because he's been following it.
Mhm.
He's like, you got to check these guys out. And he goes, Steven's a pretty cool guy. And I said, okay. So that's when I approached you guys to talk to you, because Joe's like, you got to check him out. And then when you played at the Dom, some
Mhm.
friends, some people that I know that are out to most of the shows, and when you get more
Mhm.
established, you're gonna start to recognize some of these people.
Mhm.
But I asked my friend, I said, so how was the show?
Mhm.
And she said, well, I really like Suburban Drift. And I was like, oh, okay,
Oh,
cool.
nice.
Like she was like really Jamie, Gus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Jamie's a little spitfire of a lady. She's probably about 4'11", flaming red hair, but she's
Okay.
out to all the heavier shows, and she really enjoyed your
Great.
guys' shows. I had to tell you that.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you to Jamie. I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that was a cool one at the Dom. That was a great venue. Brad put together a great bill with Pandemonium Productions. It was really, really great night.
Yeah, Brad's awesome. We've seen some amazing shows there. And yeah, because the main band dropped out, so that's why Civilian jumped in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
because you guys were playing, and wasn't Complicit playing as well?
That's right.
And I'm not going to remember his name. It's going to come to me. The drummer for Civilian is in Complicit.
Right. Yes. Parms was his nickname.
Parms, yes.
Yes.
So he basically, I guess, he just kind of said, "Okay, boys," called up the rest of the band and said, "Guys, they need help. Brad needs help," and they jumped in and did it. That was pretty cool of them.
Very cool. Absolutely. And I think too that kind of surprise show also got a lot of the people who had tickets, generate a lot of excitement.
Mhm.
So yeah, both Complicit was also another excellent band. They
Mhm.
had a really good stage performance, and I think the commonality between them and Seville, and other than the sharing a musician, was
Mhm.
their chemistry is very evident. You
Yeah.
can see that they're tight musicians, but also good friends,
Yeah.
and I think that leads to a great performance.
Absolutely. I go on about Alana Sterling a lot. Alana is
Yeah,
amazing. On
fantastic singer.
by when she sings solo and when she's with Complicit, doesn't matter. It's all awesome.
Hmm. I agree. Yeah, that was a fun night, and we hadn't. That was our first show that we'd done a part of Pandemonium Productions organization, and we didn't really know what to expect, and we knew it'd be fun, but we didn't know what to expect. And we saw, okay, we got us a few high quality artists with us, so it gave us that extra little boost, and we said, okay, let's make it fun, let's make it a good one, and we always do our best to put on the most entertaining show possible. If I miss a chord, and it's probably going to be me because the other guy's always bailing me out. So if it's me missing a note or something, but we got people laughing or pushing each other around or dancing or singing, whatever it might be, if people are laughing, having a good time, that's the number one priority.
That's great. That's the way it should be.
Mhm. We tell lots of people, most people wouldn't notice that.
Yeah,
You miss
that's
a
it.
chord, you miss a note. Gus and I, for the most part, won't notice. And
Mm,
if you make reference of it, then we're like, oh yeah, okay. But if you just keep
that's
playing like
it.
nothing's going on, it's all good.
That's it. You just keep going, having a good time, making sure you're laughing. And sometimes, you will it's usually us bantering with each other that might be the giveaway there. We'll look over and then Justin will look at me, he'll be like, or I'll look over at him and we'll have a good laugh about it.
Yeah, that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
You're
That's the way
having a good
Gus,
time. You're doing what you like to do. So it
no
should be
doubt.
fun. Don't
Gus
take
does
it too
that to me a
serious.
lot. He'll look at me like, what did you just say? It's kind of weird for us, Stephen, because this is the first one we've done this way. We're usually
Oh yeah,
together.
right. Yeah, I'd seen on a few of your other ones. There's normally the two of you side by side.
It smells a lot better in here, actually. It's good.
Well, that's it. Now if the chirps are flying, there's no risk of being in a headlock or anything.
No,
Wow. He'd
no
kill
risk.
me. He would kill me.
Oh, we wouldn't go to that. I think this is more just friendly banter,
Mhm.
and non-professional at the moment. But I'll get this back on track here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. If you were to like have a dream, like a 5-year dream plan,
Mhm.
where do you guys see the band?
In a perfect world, our 5-year dream plan, putting out two different records would be, two albums would be the first goal. Because the way I always thought of it was, once you have two out there, then you can really start holding your own for longer sets. So get the first two, me, space them out by a couple of years, and then it would be progressing from being the opening act for a lot of those shows, and maybe there's a night where Suburban Drift's headlining, and then we got other great artists coming in playing with us too. So a lot of the progression that we would see would still be domestically within Ottawa and be playing those headlining bills, as well as going around to Montreal's got a lot of options all around. I've heard some guys go to Kingston, so
Mhm.
building up that in terms of the live shows as well as the recordings.
Nice. Hope so too. I hope you release a couple albums. That'd be great.
Yeah, it'd be exciting, and one of those things too. Like I said, you write a bunch and you sit on it for a while, and then when it eventually it feels right to bring it when you're with the right bandmates, because it's oftentimes, not to be being overly emotional, but it's some deep parts inside you, right? It's some deep parts of whatever you're going through that day or that week, that month, whatever that comes out on the piece of paper. And when you're playing it with your friends live, you got support. right beside you. But the first time you bring it to someone, it's kind of like, oh, are they going to think I'm crazy? Are they going to think I'm weird? And then having those tight bonds really allow the next stages to progress, I think.
Just going on that, do you find that when you're writing, I find when I journal, I'm like mentally, I feel so much better after kind of doing a mind dump, you know? Would you agree that that's sort of a therapy for you to get that artistic, you know, output out there? And like you said, it's emotional. Do you go through a lot of different, like emotions when you're writing?
Yeah, to answer what you were bringing up about the therapeutic aspect of it, I do believe that it's similar to journaling when you do have that kind of weight off your shoulders once you've written something down, especially putting it towards music. And then, so what was the second part of that, the question as well?
Like it's therapeutic, but it's and it's nice for your like emotional. Like, do you go through different emotions when you're
Oh,
writing?
yes, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think it's, for me at least, and I'm sure everyone's different, as you're putting it down on the piece of paper, it's almost more stoic, I find, because it's you're finally, all these ideas are flushing around through your head, bam, 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 whether or not it's, you know, happy or sad feeling. It's just, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? As you can tell, I'm you know, I have an attention disorder. You know, you probably could catch on, but in my head, you know, there's always bang, 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 bang. So then when you write it down, it kind of, everything just zeroes in on that one thought, kind of what we said earlier about being present in that moment. So I find a lot of those emotions are before the pen hits the paper. And then as that's happening, it becomes a lot more controlled, a lot more focused.
Yeah, because it's just you and the pen and the pad.
That's it.
I'm similar in many ways that I've always got a few things in the hopper with my head, and I'm a busy guy, so I have, you know, being organized is can be challenging, but you know, you go through it. And I always say yes. Dog will agree with that. I'm always okay with taking on a new project or doing something else, but I think that's my superpower. I think is my ability to control chaos, and I take pride in it. But I think that, like you said, the moments you have on your own where you're writing, and it's you're writing your emotions and you're writing down your you know, you're very focused on just the pen to the pad, and it's I find it very therapeutic. So I'm glad you said the same thing. Would you say,
Yeah.
who's your favorite Stoic? Are you into Stoicism? Is that something that you practice
I would
sometimes?
have studied some of that throughout university, but off the top of my head, I wouldn't have a good answer. Do you have one?
I like Aurelius. I think that
Yeah.
his journal is amazing. Like, you know, meditations is one of, like, you can read a page of that a day, and you get a little bit out of it. But a lot of those Greek mythologists come to mind. So yeah, no, I got into it later. I think
hmm
being stoic is the goal, like to be able to just be, you know, kind of like a lot of could be going on. You could be instead of, you control your emotions when you're stoic, right? So it's a very important thing to do, I think, as a man. And you know, it's sometimes you say, oh, men shouldn't talk like that, but no, I think as a man you have to take on a few things and wear it
For
on your
sure.
sleeve. So
For
yeah,
sure. And I think you put it
that's where I get
well.
it.
You put it
Yeah.
well when you said the controlled chaos. I think that's a really good way to describe that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think,
sometimes with twins it's tough.
yeah,
No doubt. No doubt.
That was great though. It's the best. I tell Dog all the time, like,
Mhm.
it's wild, but it's great.
I think it's funny you mentioned Marcus Aurelius, because you can't see behind me, but there's a bookshelf.
Mm,
His book is on that shelf.
very
Meditations.
good.
Meditations is on there, along with the Five Rings from a Japanese guy named Miyamoto Musashi. He was a 17th century samurai who developed his
Wow.
own fighting style. Yeah, so his book is pretty interesting for me. in general.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I'd be down
Dawg
with
knows,
that.
or Gus knows that I'm a thinker. I'm not much of a doer as he is. I just think too much, and sometimes
Okay.
he's got to reel me in, or I've got to reel myself in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. Like, you're talking about sitting there putting pen to paper, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could sit that long.
But you got the filing cabinet up here, right? You
Yeah.
know where to
Oh,
draw
yeah.
the ideas.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's an overthinker,
Mhm.
for sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's
But
nothing
that's
wrong
what
with
makes
there's nothing wrong with overthinking, but there's sometimes when it's paralyzing, that's the bad thing, you know.
fair. But that's what probably makes a good team between the two of you, right? Is you each have complementing attributes that can
100%. There's we're very similar, but we're very different. And like musically, we have a lot of the same loves and also different ones, which is great and is what you want. But also, he's coming out of his shell. He's come out of his shell so much, which I love to see. Because I'm the one that would. I honestly put a lot of pressure on Dawg because I'm in a way I feel I do because I sort of put him in a position where he's not comfortable or but he becomes amazing, right? He's such a great speaker and he's so great with people and he just sometimes you just have to say I'll say yes on our behalf and he'll be like for fuck's sakes like I don't know like sometimes I think that's what my mind goes to because
yeah.
he was like, what do we like? Even when we started the podcast, he was like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, music. And he's like, oh yeah, that's great. And
Boom.
then eventually I'm like, okay, let's like video it. And like, let's do this. And he's like, oh man, like, but he's a team player and he's excellent at what he does. So I know that he'll do it if I make him do it. So.
Those stupid
There you go.
TikTok videos.
Yeah, those are great though, bro. Sorry, but they're fun. Apologies, Stephen. We've talked about ourselves too long.
No, I'm happy to hear it.
So if you have a choice of you're on an island, and you can take 5 albums with you.
Yeah.
What 5 are you taking?
This is a fun one.
Totally.
Yeah, my favorite album ever, which is definitely the first one I would bring, is There Is Nothing Left to Lose by the Foo Fighters. So that one, before I get to my next 4, that one I want to share a little story about it and kind of why it became my favorite album. Was again, I was younger. It was before all the streaming boom kind of happened, or maybe it was just in its early stages. And my dad had all these CDs. It's written out, and I maybe heard of the Foo Fighters, like 1 or 2 songs on the radio. And I thought, I looked at the back of it, okay, this looks cool. I put it on. And I remember this very vividly. It was a Sunday afternoon. I think it was even in the spring. And I heard it and I was like, oh, wow, this is the coolest album I've ever. It's so unique, but also relaxing in the same sense. It's a very chill vibe to it. And then years later, I watched one of the Foo Fighters documentary. And Dave Grohl says, yeah, we recorded that as a 3-piece. After we were all dealing with things in our lives, and we were just having barbecues on the weekends, just 3 guys having a good time, and you can really feel that relaxing vibe on the album. Paraphrasing. I thought, holy crap, that's so cool. The same reason I loved it was why Grohl and the band did too. So that's pretty special for me. That would definitely be the number 1 album I'd bring. I would say second would be Help by the Beatles.
Wow.
Solid choice.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. Just so you know.
No, that's fair. That was more later on in my life. I actually caught on to that. And the songwriting on it is really, really strong, and young
there were
John Lennon.
decent songwriters in that group.
Yeah, not bad. Those
Half
guys,
decent.
those Fab Four.
Half
Yeah,
decent.
John Lennon. He had a really good songwriting quote too. He said, even when you write a song about someone else, you're writing it about yourself. Even if you're thinking about someone else, it's your own feelings, it's your own emotions. So I'd say that would be one. There's a bit of a hot take in some of the metal communities, but I'm gonna say the Black Album by Metallica.
It's a good album.
Yeah, that was my gateway into music as being a huge part of my life.
Metalheads can, they can't. I mean, how many? 70 million people bought that album, so I think
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Maybe more actually.
Yeah, so I'd say those 3. Then I say just because I've been listening to it so much lately, I'll say "Shake Your Moneymaker" by the Black Crowes.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, that
Woo!
was rad. That was rad. Also a little bit off the board, and
Totally.
I keep telling myself,
You can
man, my
tell.
goals.
You can tell your father had a bit of influence on you and your
Yeah,
musical
yeah, a little
choice.
bit of
Yeah.
steering back and forth here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then fifth one, I'll say "City of Evil," Avenged Sevenfold.
Nice. You
Yeah.
wearing the shirt? You might as well throw him in.
Yeah, I had to represent. I was like, what do I wear today? I'm not no fashionista. I said, oh, it's Avenged from Canada tour. Two birds with one stone. Let's do that one.
That's right, baby. Good job. That was a great list.
Thank you.
I'm gonna extrapolate on that whole concept. If
For
you
sure.
could ask your favorite musician any question, what would it be?
Okay. So my favorite musician is Dave Grohl.
Mm-hmm.
Has been probably since I was 15. I remember did a project on him. If I could ask him any question, I would ask, what's the key to being a great band leader? How do you, to build off that, what I mean by it is, what does it take to, go through ups and downs with your band? How do you keep a strong knit group? How do you, stay friends through everything? Because guys like that, right, see each other every day, sleep in a van together. But a band like Foo Fighters, they've been tight for a long time, for most of them at least. So I think that'd be very, very telling to hear what his response would be for that.
I think it'd be interesting to hear his take because he wasn't the leader of Nirvana, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But a very important part. I mean, I think that he had a big voice. I mean, he seems to have a big voice in general, right? And what's crazy about him is he's been in two of the greatest rock bands ever. Like
Absolutely.
Foo Fighters is certainly one of the biggest bands ever, and Nirvana. I mean, I think you're too young to really didn't really live through Nirvana. You probably all know the Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really know Dave Grohl, to be honest, because Kurt Cobain was just so he was just the biggest part of it, right? You don't know. I don't even know the bassist's name. Like you could ask me 100 times. He's tall, and I remember they're both all. I remember him, but Kurt was just such a
European. It's got a European name.
Steven something. I
Chris
think it's Steven.
Novoselic?
Chris, that's it.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's one of those Chris, Steven, James kind of names. But yeah, I think that's a cool question because you'd love to hear his take on it. And
and you bring up a good point about how he wasn't leading Nirvana. So he, and of course Kurt was one of his best friends, but you probably take the pluses and minuses in a situation like that. Oh, I thought he did a good job leading this way, but I thought this could have been better. And carrying that forward, right? And I'm sure it wasn't perfect, right? Like there's a lot of stories about when William Goldsmith was hired on the second album. There was a bit of tensions, and Grohl went back and re-recorded things.
Yeah.
I mean, probably for the best because the album was amazing, but the two of them didn't see eye to eye after that. So I'm sure there's a lot that he learned.
Well, a good leader makes decisions like that.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's not the easy choice. So leaders have to make that tough choice. And going back, I don't think he learned a lot from Kurt as a leader because I think being a leader of a band killed Kurt. Like I think that was a leading factor. I mean, addiction was obviously a big thing there, but it led him to be, more recluse and more dependent on drugs and all those things, which was a sad thing. Again, another 27 Club person that we're talking about, but it's maybe he learned that. Maybe he learned how, right? Like someone dies from something, you usually either learn from it, you're going to grieve, but you learn from something from that, right? Like live every day to your fullest. And then when you're a leader of a band, you make those hard decisions. I think replacing Taylor is going to be really hard for them because he even though he didn't start with that band, he was very much one of the biggest pieces of that band, right? So
well said.
I don't know how they're going to replace him. Maybe his son. I don't know, but like
his son was pretty good.
Yeah, he's like 13 or whatever, 15.
Yeah, prodigy.
But yeah, but again, it's I think that's a great question. I mean, it's such a powerful I'd love to hear Dave Grohl's answer for that. That's a great question.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's definitely seen a lot and experienced a lot.
Yeah.
Throw out the best three-piece band ever.
Ooh.
Best three-piece band ever? Well, I think you teed me up by saying Nirvana. So I'm going to say a tie between Nirvana and Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a hot take?
It is, yeah. Dog was setting that up. He knew something coming there.
Okay.
I'm not a Rush fan. I respect them.
Fair.
Obviously, Neil Peart is like one of the second greatest drummer of all time. But definitely, for me, it's Nirvana or Tribe Called Quest.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Well, now that you say second best, you get me eager and curious to say who's your number one.
Bonzo.
Fair. Yeah. It's incredible what he was able to do being around other top level musicians too, because you're able to stand out when you're beside Page, Plant, and Jones.
Yeah.
No easy task.
There's a great documentary coming out for them, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait I'll be all
That's
over
gonna be
that.
sweet to see. Especially they didn't do a lot of interviews early in their career, so to have a bit of that behind the scenes look will be really exciting.
And even documenting, right? Like it wasn't a big thing back in the 60s like it is now, where everybody's got their phones out. Like for the hip one, right? The hip documentary, there's lots of videos of them because there was lots of stuff going on. But like when Zeppelin was around, it wasn't a lot of handheld stuff. It was more like, whatever outlet was following them at the time, sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see.
That's a really good point. That was another excellent documentary series, the Hips series. That was really, really cool to see.
See, throw you a Rush bone and then
yeah, and then a hip bone. I haven't I never really listened to the hip a ton, but after seeing that documentary, it really it moves you. And I thought my favorite part of it was that was the first time I'd ever heard Downey do the killer whale tank monologue in the middle of New Orleans is sinking.
Yeah, that's and that's from like the early 90s.
Right.
I think they were playing in LA. I think that's where. But it's wild. Right. Like he was wild, man. He was such a great lead man. Like he was just like he would just go off on these minute long, like 4 minutes in like nautical disaster or something, and just like talking about, it was just amazing. It was amazing to watch.
It kind of brought a bit of that punk vibe to it.
Totally. And again, another big journal guy, right? Like he wrote his, like that's how he wrote, was he would write while he's on the road and talking about like the 100th meridian or, like Thompson Girl or something like that. Like he was just such a talent, and they were a tight band too. So that's the other part people forget. They were actually a really good musical band.
Totally.
What's the greatest Christmas song of all time?
Whew.
Since it's in 2 days.
Yeah, I think, and I've been listening to more Christmas
music. This will air
music
after, but we'll still get it in now.
Yeah, absolutely. Elvis's version of Blue Christmas. Yeah. You're an Elvis guy?
Oh yeah, so's Dog actually.
Yeah. Both of you. Good.
Yeah, Dog's mom
I think
loves Elvis.
Yeah, my mom was a big fan.
Yeah.
You
guys like that Christmas?
I'll tell you an Elvis story. My mom is 83 years old. She's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and I'm so grateful that she's my mom. But she skipped school in the 50s to go see Elvis in a pink Cadillac that her best friend stole from her father to drive to watch this thing when she was 15 years old, lied about her age, and saw Elvis play.
Wow.
She got in big shit because my grandfather was a badass guy, but like, and the best guy ever, my World War II vet, like, but didn't take any shit, right? So she did it anyway, and has the story to tell about it.
That's a wild one too. That's very fitting of that era too. Grabbing a pink Cadillac.
Yeah.
Escaping out.
Well, he has a song, right? He was known for his pink Cadillac too.
Yeah. You give them to a waiter or waitress as being nice to them. And Dog, you were saying you had Dog, you were saying you had an Elvis tattoo?
I do.
That's
it's right up on my shoulder beside Bob Marley.
Look at that, through the greats.
Yeah. My mom saw Led Zeppelin too, just so we're all clear.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why she's the coolest mom ever. I've been adopted, by the way.
Yeah. Dog's been adopted. Yeah, she's a cool. We should honestly, I think we should have her on the show, Dog.
I think we should. I really do.
Just for me, I just want it for us, but like for
no, let's
for future reference.
Well, you could have a whole hour just talking about those two shows.
She would just talk, so it would be perfect. With Dog and I could just sort of like walk away, and we just like let her shoot the proverbial. She's a very good chatty lady, which is great, and we love that about her. But
we don't know where Gus got it from, but
yeah, exactly. I'm just like her actually, in many ways. In many ways, I'm not. It's an interesting combination. What's going? So what's the next like 6 months for you guys? Like you have some shows lined up, and then you have you were talking about perhaps getting a couple of your tracks actually recorded or produced by somebody here in Ottawa. Is there anybody that you kind of are leaning towards? Just what's going on with the band?
So I'm out of town for the next little bit with track and field, so we don't have anything booked in the next month or two. In terms of the recordings, is we talked as a band and we said our goal was we'd like to get something recorded by next fall. So we haven't started talking as a group yet of where we want to do it. We know we want to do it locally, so it's a matter of finding out which of those local studios is going to be the right fit for us, because I'm sure there's several great ones. What we want is something that would fit well with us, so what does someone share the same vision? Does someone, what type of leader are they? So we haven't made a firm commitment to any group yet. We haven't even reached out. We're still early in the stages of that. But we want to do it locally, and we want to find that right fit.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really good ones here in Ottawa.
Yeah, and again, another thing that's a little bit underrated about the city is there's several great recording avenues as well. I mean, as well as live venues too. But there's you can do a quick Google search and you find 3/4 pop up immediately.
Yeah, it's true. Very true.
We've spoken to a bunch of them.
Yeah. There's
Nice.
Jason Jack Nunes is a very talented guy. I don't know, like maybe even Steve from where did we record before, Dog?
I wish you hadn't done that because I can't remember.
It'll come to me like later on. I'll text it to you.
There's also Raven Street Studio. SRC does their stuff there.
Yeah.
Some other boys from Evil Creek have done some stuff there. Like you have a lot of good choices, and it's very smart for you to just take your time, meet, chat. If you get a good vibe, I'm telling you what to do. But you know what I mean? Just so because that's the most important part, right? Is to make sure that they have the same vision that you do.
That's what it is. That's what
what I mean.
And
so you kind of go in if you're going to go, I just didn't get this individual or this.
Audio Valley.
There we go. So you got it.
Not bad.
I've
we used
heard
to
that
record
name too.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget Dean too.
Yeah, Dino's crazy, but you'd love him.
Yeah.
So we ask same question every week to every artist. I'm sure you've heard it. The 2 decades of music we focus on are the 80s and the 90s. So if you were to pick one of the 2 decades, which one speaks to you more?
90s. I'm sorry to Dog. I've seen his reactions in some of the former ones, but I'm a 90s music guy.
Good man.
Yeah, I'm just scratching them off here. No more Suburban Drift. Nah, tease. We joke about it. It doesn't. There's great music out of every decade, and we only do this because hip hop over there loves the '90s for that, and the grunge.
Yeah, of course there's that, and even bands like we said, the Black Crowes, right? They're 90s as well.
They started in the 80s though.
They were together. Yeah, I believe they got together mid 80s. Their first album came out in 1990. So.
Yeah, he did your homework before because Dog was going to come after you.
Yeah, I had to get ready for that question. I saw that. I know that's the big one here.
It is.
And I think the big reason is too. I usually gravitate towards a bit of the grittier sound, I mean, even lo-fi, if you will, relative to the more polished kind of the Poisons of the world and those type of artists that were big in the 80s.
No, we get that. That's why we exclude the 70s too, right? Because a lot of the heavier bands would pick the punk scene, right, which came out in the late 60s, early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why and everybody likes the 60s and 70s for the most part.
Yeah, hard to top that.
Yeah.
And that, 90s molded me too, and then that's why I go there, because you figured out your own.
I was going to say, when we were talking about the Hendrix thing at Woodstock, I'm the only one of the three of us that was alive when that happened.
That's true. That's very true.
I was 5 years old, but you know.
I had a dog named Hendrix.
You did?
I love that name. And I also,
it's great.
My mom got me onto Hendrix because of my crazy uncle. But yeah.
I have one more. I have another question. It's another one of those.
Sure.
I just saw it on Facebook.
Yep.
You can only purchase a ticket to one show. Here are your options, and I scratched a couple off because I don't want you to pick them, because we already chatted about it.
Yeah.
Okay, you got Bob Marley, Prince, David Bowie, Biggie, Michael Jackson, Tupac, Queen with Freddie Mercury, and I scratched off Jimi Hendrix because I knew that's probably what you would pick.
Right.
And I put down Led Zeppelin with Bono.
Led Zeppelin.
You can only buy one.
Led Zeppelin. I was, up until that point, I was leaning towards Bob Marley. So much of what he's done so iconic.
Mm-hmm. You could pick any one of those and be okay. Like,
good problem.
Where
you
going with that, Gus?
I think Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know why. I think but Led Zeppelin, Jesus. It's like Bob Marley. Like, I went through a huge Bob Marley phase when I was baked all the time. It was like, it was it's hard to say. I mean, that's a great question, because I'd love, Stephen, you can expand on your Led Zeppelin pick, but I'm going to say Michael Jackson just because when I was 5, the Thriller album came out, and I played the shit out of it for 5 years. So, and I still like that album. So
yeah, it was a lot of good tunes on that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Why Led Zeppelin, Stephen? And then Dog, you answer.
I would say I think that they probably one of the most talented lineups within a band that's ever been assembled, right? I think each of them are some of the absolute best ever. Yeah. So I think there's that aspect to it. And like we were saying earlier, there was not a whole lot of documentation, not a whole lot of interviews with them. So to see them, like you said, you can pick any of those artists musically, but I think since there's so little on them, part of the excitement would be, oh man, they're doing this right in front of me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be a trip.
It's a tough question. It's not a winnable question, right? Because it's just, I would be torn between Bob Marley and Prince, because I had a chance to see Prince in Montreal and I didn't go.
Same. When he played the piano tour thing?
Yeah. Yeah, and then Bob Marley, like you said, like iconic, right? Like just to be the same thing with Zeppelin, just to be there, just experience it once.
Just imagine he just starts breaking into like, could you be loved? And you'd be like, the women would just be like throwing their underwear at him, like, you know what I mean? Like, it would just be such a scene.
He's not Tom Jones.
Oh, bro, how many kids does he have? 11? I don't know. Like, it wasn't by accident. Like, it might have been an accident at the time. Yeah. No, he was meant to have a lot of kids. That was what Bob was about.
I almost got to see his son when I was in Jamaica. Got tickets, to see Ziggy Marley, but we had to leave.
I saw him at Blues Fest, Ziggy. Mm-hmm.
We could have seen him at a very intimate show at this place we were staying, and I was married at the time. The reason I'm not married anymore. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, we couldn't make it to the show because we had to leave. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I saw the Wailers too. Did I see them with you, Dog?
No.
The Wailers at Blues Fest?
No.
But the Wailers played. Like, so
with
Bob
Bunny?
Marley's band, without Peter Tosh, obviously. But
with Bunny Wailer?
Yeah, exactly. But the Wailers were his band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and they played all the hits, but like they had their own career after Bob passed away. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like to see, and even Peter Tosh, I mean, he was so sick too. Like some of his songs are so good. Mm-hmm. I love reggae, so I think I'm thinking Bob Marley's more my answer now. Even though because Michael's Michael, you know, I can still watch
Yeah,
Michael.
but something you say it out loud, you think a little bit more about, and you're like, oh yeah. And I feel like to that question, we could give different answers on different days, depending how you wake up and feel one day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we would love to see like Suburban Drift play.
We'd love to have you there.
Yeah, so we'll check you out, and we really appreciate you coming on for spending some time with us. It's so nice to meet you, and we had such a great time. It was a really nice chat with you.
Thank you, and thanks both of you, Dawg and Gus. I was really excited when you reached out to me, and I had a really great time here. And thank you for what both of you are doing for the Ottawa music scene as well. I think it's something great that will really benefit the city as well as the artists. So I appreciate the efforts that all of you are putting into that.
Thanks, brother. That was very nice of you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, have a Merry Christmas. This will air a few weeks after that, but good luck in your track, and keep driving for that dream, and then continue on with another dream, and keep going.
You know it.
I love this. I love
Thank
when
you
I
guys.
hear somebody playing with their actual life the right way. So thanks, Steven.
That's a massive compliment. Thank you. Thanks
man.
to both of you. Merry Christmas.
Okay, buddy. Stay with us just for a minute.
Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus, Dawg and Gus.